Welcome to True Tales of the Paranormal. Today, we're going to talk about the cat that called my name. It's a true story. There's no fiction involved here. Even though it may sound like it's not real, I can guarantee you 100% that this is real. I'm speaking to you like I'm speaking to anybody else, even though it's a microphone, but I'm telling you this is the truth. I grew up in Houston, Texas, which is a small town southeast of Houston, Texas, if anybody's familiar with Texas. This was back in the 1980s, in the mid-1980s actually, or early 1980s. I can't remember, maybe 1983 or somewhere around there. And I was around 12, 13 years old at the time, so was my best friend. And we were hanging out, always hanging out, and playing Dungeons and Dragons and telling ghost stories about things that happened to him, about things that happened to me, things that happened to both of us. It was pretty scary, during that time. And I remember there was a particular day where I had a very strange episode. I remember me and all the rest of our friends had gone out, usually the kids that I grew up with on the same block. So there was Andy, there was Tim, there was Carlos, there was Jeremy, there was Tim's sister Teresa, and there was Andy and Adam, and me and Shannon, and we all went walking in the back of the woods one day. So it was a whole group of us, and we were all having fun till we got to the back of the woods. We saw this van parked a good distance away from us. It was this white van, and I remember we all kept looking at it saying, hey, look at that white van there, isn't that strange? And everybody was like agreeing, saying, yeah, it's pretty weird. All of a sudden, as we're walking, slowly the white van starts slowly driving towards us. So I pointed it out to everyone, and everybody's like, holy shit, look at that, I think it's going to come towards us. And I told them, I said, start running. So we started running as fast as we could. We went down into this big giant ditch that they had to run down, because they knew the van couldn't follow us there and come up on the other side where there's no way for it to go down into the ditch and come up. So we made it all the way across, and then the van just drove off. But we were horrified by the thought that somebody was in that van that may have wanted to harm us in some way. So we all got really spooked out. It was starting to get a little bit dark at this point, because we'd gone out around 6:30, 7 o'clock, where it starts to get dark around that time of the year. And I remember we were all just joking around playing, and everybody's taking rocks and throwing it as high up in the air as they can. So I took a rock myself, and I threw it with all my might as high as I could up into the air. We all watched it go up, and we watched it come down. And when it came down, it hit Andy's little brother Adam in the eye and busted his eye open. And we were so busy paying attention to the rock coming down that we didn't look to see where it was coming down. And man, this was horrible, because we had to run with him and carrying him all the way home. When we finally got there, his parents were so angry, they thought I did it purposely. So they kind of, I guess, came down on me pretty hard about it, and then they said they had to tell my father, and my father and I never really got along. When my father found out what happened, he had to pay $100 for the hospital bill. Me and him got into a very bad argument, and meanwhile I'm a 12, 13-year-old kid, and he's a grown man, and my father wanted to fight with me at this point, and I said, you know what, let's do it. I got angry, and he just walked away. And all I remember is being so angry, walking around the room thinking, everybody's coming down on me for something I did by accident. When I spoke to Shannon, who was my best friend at the time, I told him, he said, yeah, it was an accident. Everybody agreed it was an accident, but they didn't take it that way, So I ended up getting in trouble for that. That night, I just paced back and forth in my room, thinking maybe I should sneak out the window when he goes to sleep. But I just sat there silently in my anger, thinking about the whole thing and wondering how the hell could that rock have just come down. I threw it so high up, and it had to come down and hit someone in the face, and now, they were scared that he was going to be blind, and his younger brother, Adam, and I was scared too, but it didn't turn out that way. He just had to get a stitch or two, and that was it. But during the night, I remember just being in the room because my father didn't want me to leave. He confined me to the room. So about an hour or two passed by, and it really got dark at this point. It's 8, 9 o'clock somewhere, I guess, by the time this happened. My father started calling my name really loudly, and like he was angry. And all I heard was, Ravi! Ravi! Really loud. So then he comes busting into my room, but he had this look on his face, and he didn't say anything. So I said, I always wondered where this expression came from. I said, you look like you saw a ghost. Is there something wrong? And he goes, get over here. And he was still angry with me. And he starts pushing me out to the living room, and we get to the living room, then we get to to the window by the kitchen where the front door is, and he says, I'm like, what's going on? He goes, just shut up. So I'm like, okay, you brought me out here to tell me to shut up. So I just kept quiet. And I'm like, what'd you bring me here for? He's like, just shut up. And I'm like, all right. So I just kept quiet and I started listening. He goes, listen. And all of a sudden I heard, and let me tell you, when I heard that, it was like something calling my name, like a dying spirit or something like that. So I told him, I said, what the hell is that? I said, it's got to be one of my friends playing around, somebody bullshitting around, joking with me. And he goes, look out the window. So we looked out the window, and I swear to you, I kid you not, there was a cat. Half its face was black, half was white. Its mouth was just open, and it was saying my name as clear as day. It sounded like it was a crying person or something. It was like, and it kept saying it over and over again till it got me to the point where I just lost it. And I had a BB gun, and I went and I grabbed my BB gun, and I went to go out the front door, and my father goes, where are you going? I said, I'm going to go shoot it. I don't know what it is. I'm scared. I'm going to go shoot it. And he grabbed me and pulled me away from the door. He goes, don't go out there. He was actually scared. My father, who's supposedly the most bravest person at the time that I thought, was scared. He looked so scared. It was funny, but I was scared too. I'm not going to kid. And next thing I knew was that we're sitting down inside, and I said, let me call my grandmother, because my grandmother's really spiritual. She's very, very spiritual. She believes in Christ and the whole nine, and she was like, I knew she would know what to do if this is an evil spirit. So I ended up calling my grandmother in New York from Houston, Texas. Made a long distance call to her. She answered the phone, and she was so happy to hear from me. Then she could tell there was something wrong. She said, something wrong? I said, yeah. I said, there's a cat calling my name. And she goes, oh my God. She goes, I'm going to pray for you right now, and you have to say it with me. So we both started praying together on the phone. And part of me was, I wasn't sure what to believe. But as we started doing it, the cat stopped calling my name. And I felt a little bit better and a little bit safer. And I could see that my father felt different because the look in his face changed. And after this had all happened, it was like a little time went by, and I called up my best friend Shannon, and I told him what happened. He started laughing. He thought it was funny. I ended up meeting him outside in front of his house, and he goes, I want to go down to your house and see if the cat's there. So I was like, dude, I don't want to do that. And he's like, no, seriously, I want to see it. I'm like, all right. So we started walking down the street, and we got to in front of my house, and lo and behold, the cat was actually there. And when it saw me, it started saying my name again, and I could see the look in Shannon's face was the same look in my father's face. They were both scared, just as scared as I was, and I'll never forget that experience. But if you want to feel weird, say your own name the way I said my name. My name's Ravi, so I said, Ravi. Say your own name if your name's Sarah, if your name's Bobby, if your name's Jimmy, just say it like that, and you'll get the idea of how this actually felt by seeing a cat with its mouth open and like a spirit calling your name. So this is just one of the stories that I wanted to tell you guys, but it's a true story, man. I kid you not. This is a real story. I have people to verify and back this up that I grew up with. All right, so I'm going to be coming at you guys with a few more stories, so sit back and enjoy. And subscribe to my channel for some more great, really original, no joke, no bullshit, real stories. Talk to you guys. Have a good time. Subscribe. Tell your friends.